Hi, Dr. Joe Vitale here. Let's go a little deeper. Now, we've been talking in all these different modules about a lot of different things. They're all pertinent, they're all relevant, they're all essential to you being the awakened millionaire. The awakened millionaire. And this particular segment, we're going to talk about awakening itself. You've heard me refer to it, and of course it's in the title, Awakened Millionaire. We have something dealing with awakened here, or awakening. So what is awakening? Awakening is when you go to the fourth level. I said there's four stages of awakening, if you will, or development, and most of them we've talked about. The first one is victimhood, and most of us are born into that. And with luck, we see a movie like The Secret or a course like this, and read the right book, meet the right person, and we awaken from victimhood, and we start to experience empowerment, which is the second stage. And empowerment is fantastic because you get to flex your muscles, you get to intend things, and you get to see magic happen because you start attracting and achieving a whole lot of your goals. It's a wonderful place to be, but because of the nature of life and because we're all destined to awaken at some point, the third stage is there, and that's surrender. And surrender most people face when they come to a difficult circumstance. Somebody dies, there's a tragedy in the world, there's bad weather, there's something that you feel you can't control. And so you have a sense of surrender. And again, that's not giving up. It's realizing that you need to join forces with something bigger than you. In my book, The Secret Prayer, I called it the Great Something. You might call it God, you might call it divinity, you might call it nature, you might call it any number of things. But that third stage is really an admittance that you are not running the planet or the universe. You are not coming from an ego and driving the entire bus of everybody's lives. So you realize that life is a co-creation, and it's a very powerful place to be. And in many ways, that's how we develop the Awakened Millionaire mindset and mission. It's the realization that it's not just about you. It's about all of us together making a difference in the planet, but we're also joining forces with what some people would call the invisible, the spiritual, the metaphysical, the esoteric, the energy from the quantum field, that field of all possibilities. So in this third stage, we're really joining forces with something bigger than us to accomplish something for ourselves and for us as a planet, as a universe. But that's not the end. We have the fourth stage, and the fourth stage is incredibly powerful, but you can't make that one happen. The fourth stage I call awakening. In some spiritual circles, they call it enlightenment. It's that experience of your ego dissolving into the ocean of life itself. There's different ways of looking at it, and from a conscious ego perspective, it's not going to make any sense at all, because the ego actually has to step back, or actually even better, merge with the larger power, this great ocean of possibilities, this great sea of divinity. And at that point, you have an awakening. You're still in your body, but now you're conscious of a level of divinity that you never had before. Maybe you read about it. In some circles, we talk about duality and non-duality. For most of our lives, especially going through those first three stages of awakening, we still have duality. We have a sense that it's me in this body, and that there's you in your body, and somebody else in theirs, and somebody else in theirs, and we're also separate from everything. My computer's over here, I'm separate from that. My camera's over here, I'm separate from that. So there's this sense of duality in the world. But when we awaken, we have the sense of oneness. We have the sense of non-duality. And that is the idea that you and I and everything around us are one, and on an energy level, on some sort of cosmos behind the illusion level, it's all one. There's no duality, it's non-duality. I hope I said that right a second ago. Because what I'm talking about is most of us grow up through life having duality. It's us and somebody else being separate, or it's us and possessions being separate. But with non-duality, you have that awakening where everybody becomes one. Now again, you can't make it happen, because that would be your ego trying to get rid of the ego. And again, that's a tricky, self-deluding place to come from. What we want to do is invite awakening. You can prepare for awakening, you can invite awakening, and you can even imagine living from awakening. But you can't actually make it happen. You can't force it to happen because it's not an ego-driven experience. So it's not under your control. But you can prepare yourself for it. Now, that's what we want to talk about here in this particular segment. How do you prepare yourself for this awakening? One is by meditation. Now, I've talked about meditation before, and my favorite quote about meditation is not what you think. Now, I love that. Meditation is not what you think. So if you're thinking when you think you're meditating, then you're not meditating. Meditation for me is behind the thinking. It's almost like thinking is a process, but there's an awareness behind the thinking that takes you a step closer to what we're calling awakening or satori or an enlightenment. So when you're meditating, you let the thoughts just kind of slide by. They just kind of float on by. And you don't get attached to any one of them. If anything, you're attached to the background to the thoughts. In some of my books, like Zero Limits and At Zero, I refer to that background as a whiteboard. So if you could imagine that you wrote thoughts on the whiteboard, and then you just pay more attention to the whiteboard that they're written on than the thoughts, you're getting closer to the idea of awakening. So that's one thing you can do. Now, there's a lot of different meditations, and you can pick one and choose one, find one that feels most comfortable, intuitively correct for you. But let me very quickly lead you through a narrative meditation. And this is designed to give you that little sense, a little taste of what an awakening is all about. So, right now, you have thoughts. You're thinking about me, you're thinking about yourself, you've got opinions, all kind of things are going on. It's the nature of the mind to bubble up thoughts. So it's not a bad thing. Your mind's just doing what it's designed to do. But you don't have to pay attention to the thoughts. That's the trick. You can just observe them. And here's what I want you to notice. You have thoughts, but you are not your thoughts. So you have thoughts coming and going. And in the past, especially in the stage of victimhood, you would have bought into them and even been one with the thoughts. You wouldn't have known about a separation. But at this stage, you do know, you are aware that you have thoughts, you observe thoughts, but you are not the thoughts. That's important. You're observing thoughts. Second, you're in a physical body. You're in this body and maybe it has aches and pains. I worked out this morning and I tried to bend a horseshoe and I couldn't do it this morning, so my hands were a little bit tight and I feel a little bit of the ache in it right now. But here's what you notice. You have a body and then you're observing the body, but you're not the body. So there's a sense of detachment here. Somehow you're able to witness the body much like you're able to witness your thoughts. Well, let's not stop there. Let's look at emotions. Now, right now, you may have curiosity, you may have sadness, grief, you may have happiness, bliss, any number of emotions may be going on in you right now. It's the same thing as with thoughts and the same thing with your body. You experience emotions, but you're not the emotions. Now, you certainly can be. You can identify with your body, you can identify with your thoughts, you can identify with your emotions. But what I'm doing in this narrative meditation is taking you to a place behind the thoughts, behind the feelings, behind the body, behind the emotions, behind all of it. If you are not your thoughts, and you are not your emotions, and you are not your body, then who are you? Who are you? What are you? You see, that background witness, what some spiritual circles calls the witness or the observer, that's the same observer in me. When you go past your thoughts and your feelings and your body and you're looking at that background witness and you're looking from the background witness, like you're merging with the whiteboard of life, and I do the same thing, we are one. And when somebody else does the same thing, they do the same kind of meditation, and somebody else over here does the same thing, behind all of the illusion, behind all of the activities of mind and body and emotion, behind all of it is this witness. And the more you identify with the witness, the closer you get to awakening. Now, I want you to think about that. I saw a movie fairly recently about a spiritual teacher, and at the end of it there was a quote. And the spiritual teacher had passed away, and one of the students of the spiritual teacher said, well, what am I going to do? My guru has passed. How will I get closer to the divine? And his friend said, The divine is looking out through your eyes right now. That's what awakening is all about. It's the idea, it's the sense that there is a intelligence that we all participate from that is manufacturing the illusion that we all play in, and that particular energy field is the same in you as it is in me. And this brings us to a place of unlimited possibilities, because from that energy field, or more accurately within that energy field, when you merge with it and I merge with it, notice there's no lack or limitation. There are no negative or limiting beliefs. There is nothing about scarcity. There are no limiting beliefs or memories or baggage in that field. We're the ones that carry it on top of the field. So the more we can merge with and pay attention to and be aware of this background witness, the more we'll get ready to awaken. Now, you don't have to experience what Buddha or some of the other teachers may have experienced by sitting under a tree and they had the aha experience and their lives changed forever. You don't have to wait for that to be an awakened millionaire now. In fact, I think you should be saying to yourself, I am an awakened millionaire. I am an awakened millionaire right now. And I know your mind's going to say, well, I'm not. I don't have $1 million. But this is how this works. We're coming from the field of all possibilities where there are no limitations. There are no negativities there. There are no boundaries there. And so you are acting as if what you want is already real in order to manifest it. William James, one of the founders, if not the founder of psychology, had said that when you act as if, you teach your brain to create the reality that you will then become. So you start with the make-believe. You start with the act as if. It's the fake it till you make it kind of an approach. So you start now. You don't wait until you have $1 million. You start now and say, I am an awakened millionaire right now. And so you are programming your mind. You're coming from that field of all possibilities where there are no contrary beliefs and no counter intentions. You're coming from that area, and you're also practicing an affirmation. When you say that I'm not an awakened millionaire, you're practicing an affirmation that will create that experience of not being it. So when you begin to say I am an awakened millionaire, you move into becoming it. And then you're also Nevilleizing the experience. If you remember, we talked about Neville Goddard. Neville's one of my favorite mystical authors, and he always said, assume the wish fulfilled. Assume the wish fulfilled. Which means if you really wish to be an awakened millionaire, assume that you already are one, and the wish will be fulfilled. It will harden into reality, as Neville had said. So this is a much deeper session, and I really want you to chew on it, sit with it, maybe watch this one again, but really pay attention to this one key factor. You are not your thoughts, you're behind them. You are not your emotions, you are behind them. You are not your body, you are observing it. This observer, this witness, is the place you want to live from. There are no limits there. Anything is possible. And that's where the reality of you being an awakened millionaire takes place. All right. Thank you.